Hello, I'm Ross Caputo, President and CEO of Eagle Analytical, and I'm here today with an episode of Eagle TV that's going to discuss something that's important to all of us. It's the rollout of the vaccine to counteract the COVID virus and this pandemic that we're all suffering through. There was published in Business Insider a timeline for the rollout, and myself with our expert in Washington, D.C., Dr. Oh Song, is going to discuss what that might mean, what it looks like, and tell us what do we expect this week of December the 14th. The Pfizer vaccine is out there. It was being shipped across the country and it distributed to all 50 states with about 3 million doses of the vaccine. Now, these doses are initially sent out to those first responders, those people that they needed, and vulnerable groups. So, David, if you could tell me, does this sound right to you? Is it good? Is this the right way to do it?
Well, this is the first time in the United States for an episode like this. And the reason it's the first, it's a novel vaccine type. This is an mRNA vaccine, and that has not been distributed in the United States, although it has been used in Europe for other vaccines. Ebola virus and Zika virus have been used very successfully with this mRNA platform. The timeline for distributing it is going to be kind of slow just because it's difficult to handle. The temperature requirements for storage are very low. It's going to be a while to get it distributed, get it prepared, and 3 million doses, that's only going to be about 150,000 people. If we consider that it takes 2 doses. So I'm wondering what the definition of dose is when they say it's being sent out. It could be both injections are considered 1 dose. But 3 million, even if that were immunized patients, we have a population of well over 300 million. And we're going to need quite a few more doses before we're up in the state where we can say that we have herd immunity in the country.
Well, that brings us to our next question. December 17th, Moderna's vaccine is going to be getting reviewed by FDA through its basically non-binding expert committee recommendations to either give emergency use or not. FDA normally goes with that, but that's going to put a few 100,000 million. I don't even know. I have not heard a number, not aware of a number that they're going to be able to start shipping a week later. Now, my understanding is that it's not as requiring the deep freeze type action as the Pfizer ones. Can you enlighten me on that?
Well, apparently this Moderna product is a bit more stable at the warmer temperatures. Warm means freezer temperatures, and it can be thawed and dispensed for a longer period of time. So the effective component, the mRNA, seems to be more stable in the Moderna vaccine. That'll make it a lot easier in the clinics. So we don't know how many doses would be available, and we don't know if FDA will grant the emergency use authorization. These are different companies. They may present their data differently, and as a result, people could have a more difficult time understanding what the endpoints are and the safety issues. But it's generally likely that we will see an emergency use authorization very soon for this one as well.
David, is it normal that these things are being delivered from UPS, FedEx, along with Christmas packages and everything else? That sort of must backlog the distribution system a bit, doesn't it? I'm just wondering. I mean, I got cookies were being sent to me 3 days ago that aren't here yet. And I'm wondering, are the vaccines getting special treatment?
I'm sure they are. Some of the TV presenters have described how they are actually getting police escorts to make sure that there's nothing unusual about the shipment, that somebody doesn't steal it. There was a presentation on the news where a large shipment was rushed down to Lake Charles, Louisiana, where they'd been devastated with 2 consecutive hurricanes earlier this year. And they have to get the people into these damaged areas, and there's a lot of healthcare activity as well. So we have reconstruction, we have healthcare, It's an area of great need.
End of the year, this year into January, we think that the authorized vaccines are going to be injected into 4 priority groups: healthcare workers, frontline workers, people over 65, and people with pre-existing conditions. Roughly 50 million people across the US are expected to receive the injections by February. I really would like to know how we decide which of the people over 65, which are the important frontline workers, which are the important healthcare workers. Is that a lottery system? How does that work? How does that happen?
My understanding is that in the first doses, it is a lottery system. They can be prioritized by whoever is running the program at that particular site. But lottery has been what I've heard in the news on several occasions.
Well, David, I keep wondering about and thinking about it, because I know that we expect by the end of February to have some 50 million more people from the initial ones that we're talking about in priority groups being vaccinated. We're talking 50 million people vaccinated, not the couple 100,000 we started originally, and that's great. The ramp up to get into these groups, with your experience in production sites and production things and scale up and all that activity, do we actually expect this to be flawless? Do we think there will be hiccups in the manufacturing?
There will be hiccups in just about every phase of this, because it's a new and learning experience. The manufacturers have done a great job getting material ready, and the investment has been significant because, again, it's new processing. So they're doing the best they can. The people doing the distribution are involved in a very different kind of distribution because of the cold required for these new vaccines. So the cold chain, as they call it, of transfer, is a logistical challenge. Referring back to the TV presentation on the news about the shipment in Louisiana, the people in the shipping facilities had practiced for about 2 weeks to try and get proper handling procedures understood and have the machinery ready, the freezers, and also the refrigerated trucks to transport the material.
Well, this is just, in my own mind, it's a fantastic thing that we're trying to do, that we're going to get done, and that we're hoping by the end of second quarter and through third quarter that nearly every adult, most adults in the United States, will be able to get vaccinated. But as we know, and I think I want to ask you again, it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks, 2 doses, et cetera, for this to get started. But then the process hopefully leads us by the end of the year that we can maybe hope and plan for some sort of herd immunity. Does that make sense to you?
Well, by the end of 2021, I would certainly hope so. I'd also hope that those who are able to tolerate a shot should find out whether or not they can, speak to the doctor, and get that shot if they're able. The ability to be immune is going to be so important to establish herd immunity and create the safety that we need for other people, not only those getting the shots. A lot of people may not be able to take the shot, but they're taking great precautions to ensure the safety. And meanwhile, we understand that the younger people are less likely to have clinical problems with the virus itself. The range of reactions go from absolutely nothing clinically evident all the way up to very serious conditions. But we're targeting the most vulnerable populations first. Those that are constantly exposed in healthcare settings, those who are older, and those who have pre-existing conditions. We can fill in the rest as we go. Meanwhile, the manufacturers are beginning testing to start to find out what age groups under 16 are most needed. So by the end of 2021, hopefully the production will have ramped up and we may have 3 or 4 different vaccines by then. That should help solve the problem of getting enough out for herd immunity and safety for that year. Then, just like the flu shot, we may need to start taking these vaccines every year.
You led me right into the question I wanted to know. I think there's some fear that, like the flu, it'll be a new vaccine every year. And I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that makes sense, but I know that that fear is there. I know that I'm going to take the vaccine as soon as I can get it, and because it's the right thing to do. And I know that I am in one of those age groups that make me vulnerable. And I think that's important. But I would really like to see all those 18 to 49-year-olds get a whole bunch of vaccines, because they're the largest group that in fact get infected. And it's our group that don't do so well if we do get infected. So that herd immunity is a critical concept to understand it. I don't think that everybody quite understood that the way that polio went away was because we basically eradicated all the hosts. There was no place for the virus to exist. It was around, and there's all those concepts that we talk about. It's just something new that we deal with.
A lot of people still don't know how to wear a mask properly. So we have a lot of opportunities to continue spreading, and hopefully that will stop. And eventually we won't need to go into quite the same depth.
My thoughts and prayers were with the world. We will get out of this, we will overcome, and we'll stay in touch.
Well,
Thank you, David.
Let's look forward to the end of 2021, that October, December area. The idea here is that's when the flu is going to come back. And we want to make sure everybody has their flu shot, and if needed, another COVID shot.
David, thank you so much. I hope this has been effective and helpful to everybody, and we will do our best. Stay safe, everybody, and wear that mask.
Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we post new updates. You can also follow us on social media under Eagle Analytical.